Part 3, Chapter 9, Newscast. Thank you, Megan, that's right. Monel Farash holds one hand to her ear so that she can hear over the commotion taking place behind her. We're here on Tarsus at the GC Capital Complex. Complex security has closed the main gates and told the staff here to remain in their offices. Nodding vigorously, she continues. Yes, that's true. The interim senior counselor was attempting to address a growing crowd gathered on the street outside the complex when something, we believe it was a shoe, was thrown at her. She's fine, by the way. It was a soft-soled shoe. Monel listens and nods again. No, for now I believe we're perfectly safe. The crowd was protesting interim senior counselor Sul Tom's proposal to delay the election for an unspecified length of time. Many believe the GC won't be able to heal or move on until leadership of both the Council and Peacekeeper Command are replaced with new blood. I don't think the crowd outside will devolve to anything more violent than shoe throwing. Monel Varash bobs her head again and chuckles. Yes, Belzar, that's true. To the Goldrani, shoe throwing is one of the most offensive insults possible. I don't know if it was a Goldrani or not, but I'd say the odds are good. It's so big. It's so big, Zephyr murmurs. That's what she said, Will chuckles, holding his fist out to be bumped. When there is no response, he looks around the bridge. Every other member of the team is looking at the primary display, which is showing the mystery ship, all 5 kilometers of it. No one? He asks. Shazbot, that's a big ship, Zan whispers. Will looks at Zan. That's a real swear word? No one acknowledges this, either. Quite a bit larger than you implied, Maxim says, turning to Prathia. She shrugs. We didn't have anything to measure it against. Also, technically I never said how big it was. Just big. She never takes her eyes off the display. What do we do now? Jorlu asks, from the back of the bridge. Everyone turns to look at Will. We don't rush in. That's what we do, he says. Z, run a full scan, everything we've got, Prathia and Benny. Start running whatever analysis you can. Jorlu and Zan. What is it you do? I never asked. I'm a physicist, Zan replies sourly. I'm an engineer, Jorlu contributes. She has been quite helpful during our trip, Captain, Gabe offers. The main engine is operating at a level I did not think possible. Well, that's good, thank you. Okay, you continue doing what you do then. We don't get any closer to that ship until we know more. Will turns to Myrta. Myrta, you just stand around and look pouty. He gives Myrta a thumbs up. The head of security does not seem amused. After several scans of varying types and adjustments to the sensors to allow for even more scans, it's nearing the time that the crew eats dinner, so everyone has a snack of some type sitting on a plate on their knees, or, if they're Benny, balancing precariously on something that looks expensive. Will looks around the room. All right, what have we got? He points to Zephyr. Z, you first. She finishes chewing and puts her plate aside. Well, I've confirmed our initial reading on its size. It's 5 kilometers long, 1.5 kilometers wide. Looks like it uses a similar method of propulsion as the Ghost or any other ship you'd see in the GC. There aren't any windows, which I find odd, not a single one. Lastly, our sensors are picking up a power signature, but it's weak. Likely just battery backups or something similar. It's far too weak to be the ship's reactor, even in standby mode. I think it's dead in space. She picks up her plate, indicating that she's done with her report. Will nods to Prathia, who he notices is sitting oddly close to Benny, having moved a chair from a nearby station over to his. She clears her throat. I can confirm Zephyr's readings. The vessel appears to be without primary power. The energy source we can detect is scattered throughout the ship. Must be some type of emergency batteries, as they're too small to do anything on the scale of the ship itself. There's a significant amount of hull damage, either from conflict or space debris impact. Without getting closer, it's impossible to tell the source or accurately describe or identify a timeline. Ben-Uri did notice that while the ship is essentially dead, Low power scans are emanating from the vessel. We can't yet determine their purpose, of course. Prothea smiles in Benny's direction, and the small alien blushes. At least, that's what Will thinks is happening. He shakes his head to clear a somewhat disturbing mental image. Okay then. Science twins, what have you got? Zan and Jorlu exchange looks before Zan speaks up. The ship has amazing propulsion capabilities. Your second in command is correct about that, after a fashion. She glances at Zephyr. No offense. None taken. Jorlu picks up the report. From what we can tell from the scans, the ship uses sublight systems, the same as any ship made today. However, its FTL components are entirely different. It's impossible to know more precisely without further investigation. But I'd say at FTL it's quite fast, particularly for its size. Which brings me to what I believe might be the biggest point of interest to this vessel. Zan jumps in. The reactor needed to power a ship this size would be immense. To put it simply, 2 to 3 times the size of the entire vessel. That much power would be. She pauses, looking around. Well, the reactor from the ship could probably power all of Tarsus. Maxim lets out a low whistle. I've never seen a reactor that big, even on the largest peacekeeper ships. Have you, Gabe? The tall engineer is standing near the bridge hatch. I have not. Will nods to him. What about you, big guy? Anything you want to add? The tall Pelorian nods. Actually, yes. I took the liberty of running my own tactical scans. This is a dreadnought, no doubt about it. He leaves that last sentence hanging in the room. Everyone is looking at each other uneasily. Will finally breaks the silence. For those of us not from a planet of space warriors, Zephyr and Maxim exchange a look before he continues. A dreadnought is, to put it simply, a ship of death. It has no other purpose than combat. This ship has several hundred weapons placements. Weapons range from point defense to long-range beam weapons, missiles, torpedo tubes. I was able to identify 50 missile batteries in a standby state. There is also some type of large-scale weapon situated at the front of the ship. I have no idea about its purpose or capabilities. As I said, a ship like this has but one purpose. Will looks at the primary display. The dreadnought is hanging 50 kilometers directly ahead of them. Well, that's not terrifying, he says. Anyone home? So far, no reaction from the ship, Zephyr announces, as Will brings the ship ever closer to the dreadnought. Maxim looks up from his tactical screens. No weapons response either. Will adjusts his controls. Okay then, let's go knock on the door. Zephyr, you've got an airlock picked out, right? I do. Sending it to your console. She taps a control and one of his screens updates to show a small targeting icon overlaid on the hull of the dreadnought. Will examines it. Benny, anything on your end? He asks. There is no response from the Brelec. Benny? Sorry, what? What? Benny looks up from his console, turning towards Benny, trying only a little to hide his irritation. What do you mean, what? What are you doing over there? What? Nothing, Benny says, his voice higher than usual. Are you blushing? You are. You're turning from Kermit Green to Oscar the Grouch Green. Will stands up and advances on Benny's station. Zephyr leans out of her station and looks at Maxim. What's an Oscar the Grouch? He shakes his head. What's a Kermit? Will is at Benny's station now, looking at his display. Dude, are you watching? What are you watching? Benny looks away and mumbles something. Are you watching Xena Warrior Princess? How the hell do you know anything about Xena? How are you watching it? What episode is that? Wait, that last question doesn't matter. Explain yourself, Green Bean. Benny slaps his console and the monitor switches to a display of code, or something else Will doesn't understand. I found it in an archive in the computer core. Dude, Will throws his hands up. That archive is private. He turns around to return to his chair, then spins back to face Benny again. We'll talk about this later, he adds. Sitting back down in his command chair, he sighs. Anyway, Benny, Anything you'd like to share about the ship? The ship we're very close to right now? The big, scary ship? Benny looks at his display. No, not really. I don't have anything to add. Will rubs his forehead, sighing. Jesus! Zephyr coughs and offers. Yes, well, perhaps we should just commence with the boarding. Will looks up at the ceiling and takes a deep breath. Yeah, let's do that, he says, casting a sideways glare towards the station Benny occupies. Maxim, who's done his best to stay silent at his station during this, asks, I did not know you knew a warrior princess. Is she from your home city? Will only sighs again and focuses on bringing the ghost in closer to the dreadnought, lining up the port side airlock with the airlock that Zephyr tagged for him. When the ghost is 50 meters away, he brings it to a stop and sets the controls to station keeping, so that even if the other ship drifts, the autopilot on the ghost will compensate for the movement. We're in position. He looks over at Benny. Go get the squints. The what's that's? Benny looks up from his station, green brow furrowed. Will sighs. Just go get the scientists. They're getting suited up in the lounge. He gets up himself and heads towards the hatch leading off the bridge. The rest of the team follows him, Benny splitting off to head down the main corridor toward the crew lounge, where Prothea and her team are waiting. Will, Zephyr, and Maxim enter the armory and begin getting suited up. Maxim looks over at Will, already half-dressed. That's not your regular armor. When did you get that? Will looks down at his armored arm. Oh, this? I ordered it last time we were on Polak. There was an arms dealer in that night market in Kalto province. She said it was fresh from the Harrith Navy R&D. It was delivered in that cargo lot we took on after the pirate asteroid raid. Like it? Maxim nods appreciatively, as Will continues donning his new armor. Zephyr is almost dressed, her peacekeeper armor, repaired after the last pirate adventure. She turns to examine the new suit. Do you know what it does? Will nods vigorously. Well, yeah, mostly. It's not like it came with an instruction manual, being black market and all. At a look from his first officer, he shrugs. I'm sure I can figure it out. Maxim shakes his head. This should be interesting. Will pulls his long brown coat on. Hey, that hurts. Is this about the missile incident? For the record, I had no idea there were still micro missiles in that launcher. The display was blinking red. Zephyr laughs. And Decordites red is the color of go. It was fully armed and ready, as you discovered. Well, you in that storage shed. The storage shed full of valuable merchandise. She high-fives Maxim before heading out of the armory, her partner close on her heels. Will tuts. Wish I hadn't taught you to that. He shouts after them, activating his armor systems. Several parts whir and beep, the lights on his gauntlets coming on, and an integrated wrist comm comes online. Will giggles, neat, and follows the others out of the armory. When he turns the corner to the port airlock, everyone is already there. Prothea and the scientists are in basic spacesuits, while Myrta is in something that looks like a tactical suit, albeit not as advanced as anything on the Ghost. Benny is in the smallest suit the team could find, the last time they were in the market. It's still too big, comedically so. Benny, can you run Overwatch from the ship? Will looks the short hacker over. That suit is stupid big on you. You're gonna trip every 4 steps, likely get you or one of us killed. Benny raises his arms in an expansive gesture, the bunched up fabric looking comically saggy. We need to go spacesuit shopping soon. The past. Why did you pick this disgusting place? Zarek lifts his glass and examines a smudge of something on the side, scratching at it with one claw. Because, as far as I know, you don't own this one, so it's not loaded with goons. Will puts his own, not overly clean glass down. Look, it's just something I need to do. Zarek scowls. I didn't upgrade your feeble brain just to let you throw your life away. Your crappy home planet is off limits and patrolled by the GC. Will frowns. Welp, too damn bad. I've been out here on my own far too long. I need movies, I need TV shows, I need music. He brings his glass to his lips and mumbles, "Need porn." "What's that?" Zarx is still turning his glass, trying to find a not gross spot. Giving up, he sets it back down. "Nothing. Never mind. Anyways, I'm going," Will says. Zark sighs. "Fine." He looks down and taps his wristcom, then speaks to someone. "I'm in Bamston City on Lorstack 7. Get Shinto and Lopak and get out here." He looks up at Will. "I'm going to add some stealth tech to the Ghost. It's expensive. I'd say you owe me, but you already owe me, so here's the deal." Will holds up a hand. Wait. "No!" The coldness in that single word stops Will in his tracks. "You will go to Yerth." "Earth," Will grumbles. "You will go to Earth. Get whatever crap you need. You will fill the hold of the Ghost with whatever you can that's unique to your world. You'll bring it all back and I'll sell it." "And then I'm off the hook?" Will asks. "Then we see how much debt is left. I highly doubt your backwater mudball planet will have anything that could outright erase your debt." The reptilian crime lord stands to leave. "I'll be in touch when my guys get here." Will watches the gangster leave the bar before looking around. "This place really is gross," he mutters to himself. He looks at his very smudged glass, takes a huge gulp to finish his grum, and gets up. Some kind of service bot wheels over in front of him. "Please pay your bill," it chirps in a pleasant voice. Will looks down at the waist-high bot. "Well, you're cute." "Please pay your bill." The cute voice is less cute now. Okay. Not very chatty, are you?" He pulls up his banking software on his wristcom. "Please pay your—" Yeah, shut up, R2. He accepts the bill and the funds vanish from his balance. Without waiting for a response, he heads for the door. Walking around the street outside, he finds it easy to think of Bamston as your average mid-sized Earth city. Denver, Omaha, or Riverside. Of course, that mental illusion ends when a Holgen couple steps out of the restaurant, nearly crushing Will in their haste. "Oh my goodness," the female of the pair exclaims. "Please excuse us." "Oh yeah, we're very sorry we didn't see you there," the male says, as they edge around Will. Will waves them off, still thinking about Denver. "No worries, have a good one." As he continues down the street, he hears the female ask her companion, "A good what?" The male replies, "Who knows? What do you think that thing was, anyways?" It doesn't take long to find another bar, this one far less disgusting than the previous one. Taking a seat at the bar, Will says, "Grum." The bartender, a lanky being with 3 eyes and pointy ears, nods and reaches for a glass under the bar. Will looks down at his wristcom, making a list. "Okay, I'll need to make sure I grab every movie, TV show, and song I can get my hands on. Wonder if Benny will help me with something to download it all." He nods to the bartender and thanks, and takes a drink of his grum. "What about food and stuff? Where should I park? It's not like I can set down in the desert, then call for a lift or something." He continues to mumble to himself as he works on the problem.